Hello TEDxUTP, my name is Rizal van Geyzel. I am a full-time Malaysian stand-up comedian and co-owner of Malaysia's first ever comedy club, Parliament. No, it's just a joke. Hello TEDxUTP, my name is Rizal van Geyzel. I am a full-time Malaysian stand-up comedian and co-owner of Malaysia's first purpose-built comedy club, the Crack House Comedy Club, which now, because of MCO, is just an empty room. Thank you for inviting me to speak at your event. I'm here to share with you my thoughts and experience about empathy in the world of comedy. Now, first, let's talk about empathy. It helps us in all areas of life. In business, when people meet for the first time, they usually spend the first 5 minutes breaking the ice. And they're always trying to make the other person laugh. And the reason for that is because laughter disarms them by removing them from the forced nature of the business world and humanizes them. In a nutshell, empathy is the ability to share someone else's feelings or experience by imagining what it would be like to be in that person's situation. Basically, giving a I've been performing and traveling professionally since 2012. I opened the Crack House Comedy Club in April 2014. The idea of this place was to create a home base where local comedians would be able to hone their craft, as well as meet traveling comedians from all over the world. We would have open mic nights, improv nights, local language nights, but our bestseller, or what we were most well known for, was our weekend international headliner shows, where I mentioned where we had comedians from Australia, from the UK, from Philippines, from Singapore, from America, from basically any part of the world. In the world of comedy, empathy is integral. Now, if we could see, like for example, if we would imagine comedy as a dish being created in a kitchen, empathy would be like the key ingredient to make that dish really come alive. In order to create the element of surprise needed for a punchline, we have to first know what the audience is thinking. We hear it in their laughs, we hear it in their shrugs, we hear it in the oohs and the ahs. Now, to the audience, stand-up comedy may look like just one person talking, but what that person is actually doing is listening. In order to break a cultural thought, we have to first identify it. And to do that, we have to step into the audience's shoes, like a thief on Friday at a mosque. Stand-up comedy is about forming connections between audience and performer. It all relies on the understanding on the other and how people see the world. A joke, among other things, is a shared experience. Both the teller and the recipient need some degree of commonality in order to make the joke happen. You can't just make a joke about Rosmah or Najib or Sami Velu without people actually knowing who these people are, the country's top comedians that you could not afford. No, I'm just kidding. Over the past 6 years, we've seen very diverse audiences come to the shows. The foreigners could either be those that are staying in Malaysia for long term, that we sometimes called expats or foreign workers, or they could be tourists just stopping by for just a couple of weeks. In order to make them laugh, we have to first think about what they already know and what their expectations are like. Even if their assumptions, are wrong, what do they actually think Malaysians are like? What type of food do we eat? What are the races that we have? What are our political standings in the world? Some of my material relates to customs and etiquette that may be either known or unknown to certain people. And it's my job to get them to understand what it's like to be in my shoes, but at the same time, teach them something that they might not have known. I have a joke about how being a Muslim, I'm not supposed to be drinking, but that doesn't stop me from socializing with people who do drink. So I have this story about meeting a couple of European backpackers who were drinking and teaching me how to say cheers. They're like, oh, okay, we raise their glasses and they say cheers. And then they asked me, what is cheers in Malay? And there is none, but the first word that I think of is haram. Now this usually gets a laugh from the locals. Some of the foreigners might think, what's haram? And then I like to tell them, you. I have also stories about when I travel outside of Malaysia. One particular experience when I was living in America, and I have the habit of removing my shoes before I walk into somebody's house. I did it, although in America people wear their shoes inside their house. I can't do it. I take them off and I leave them outside. And to my American friends, that's weird, right? Like, that just came off. Should we just keep going? It is, should I just keep going? It is, it is weird to take off your shoes in America. But I can't help it, I keep doing it. And then American friends would look at my bare feet in their house and go, oh, what happened to your shoes? And I would say that, oh, I left them outside. And they would show concern because they live in a very dangerous part of that city. It's like the clang of America, right? And they would say, hey, do you have any idea where I live? And I say, I don't know, but it seems to me you live in a dirty house. Just saying, stop wearing your shoes inside the house. And they say, no, this is a dangerous place. We need to check on your shoes. So we run out to the front door, we open the door, we look outside, we find out that my shoes were stolen. At which point he asks me, like, why did you do that for? I said, well, this is a custom in Malaysia. We take off our shoes before we walk into your home. He said, that's what you do in Malaysia? You take your shoes off and you leave them outside in the open? I said, yeah. He said, and nobody steals them? I said, only when you go to the mosque. You see, now, there are people that know that in Malaysia, people take off their shoes when they get into your house. And also, they know where to go for brand new shoes every Friday. Sometimes I tell this joke and there'll be like audiences that don't laugh. And I love looking at them and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I should explain to you. A mosque is where Muslim people go for happy hour. That's just a joke, that's just a joke. The sound system is really bad and you can't get a decent drink there. The sign's back up. Yay! Top quality production. Okay, let's look at it the other way around. How does the comedian generate empathy for themselves? How do you get the audience to feel empathy for the comedian? The best way to encourage a person standing in front of you to care and to put themselves in your shoes is to be truthful, is to be absolutely honest and very vulnerable about yourself. I've heard a local comedian very successfully talk about his problems with fertility. I've seen a UK comedian talk about being HIV positive. And even I have done a routine about my mother passing away, and I actually performed it on the night she passed away. Don't worry, it wasn't as depressing as it sounds. It was actually very funny. I'm pretty sure my mother was laughing too from up there. And I mean, the message from that routine was that life goes on. And the last thing your loved ones would want to do in their passing is to stop you from pursuing what you love doing, and which for me is performing, which I can't do during MCO. So thank you for having me. Now, having problems with infertility, being HIV positive, having a loved one pass away, these are not topics that you can easily share with a stranger and expect them to care. But comedians have experience and the skill set to do this. At the Crack House Comedy Club, we run highly successful comedy writing courses. And half the people who join are not actually looking to perform stand-up comedy, but just learning to be better communicators. Because as I said earlier, laughter is involuntary. And if you get someone to laugh, they are revealing a piece of themselves over to you. So if you come across somebody that you are trying to understand better, or you're trying to relate to, try and make them laugh. Try and make them laugh. If you don't succeed, at least your attempt would teach you something about them and maybe even a little bit about yourself. If you do succeed, you may possibly have attained the key to their heart and perhaps put a smile on it. Because, you know, what else can we do today? Thank you, TEDxUTP, for having me. I hope you've enjoyed this session on empathy in the world of comedy. If you have, I've been Rizal van Geyzel, and if you haven't, my name is Kavin J. Thank you, and good night. Bye-bye.